Welcome to the Everything Is Earned podcast. I'm your host, Mike.
I am Tim, your co-host.
And we're here to break down everything happening in your Cleveland sports world. And it would have been, 2 days ago.
2 nights ago.
Yeah, 2 nights ago. We watched the NBA Finals, Game 5, Game 7. They didn't air 6, but Game 5 and 7. And it was fantastic. Everyone turned on the ESPN, and we all just had a good time tweeting and putting out videos, and it was just great nostalgia, and it just reminded me how much I love that championship run and how much I love the 2016 Cavs.
It was so intense, the entire thing. I think when we were all watching it, and we were all we had our nose built up and halfway in our chest the entire time, but we knew what the outcome was. It was just that intense. That kind of just brought back all those feelings. It's
just wild that you have that feeling even, several years later, that you're still like, oh my gosh, why am I nervous? And the crazy thing about it is when I was watching Game 7, it was like every 5-6 point lead, it felt super heavy. I was like, oh my gosh, why does 4 points feel like so many points down?
Well, yeah, I think Kyrie hit a free throw or something like that, or I think it was Kyrie. And we went by 5. It was the largest lead of the game. We're oh my gosh, you would imagine it's 13, 14 points because it just felt that large at that time because you had 2 possessions of separation when every possession mattered. And I think some of that tension was the entire arena and the atmosphere. It was just a very anxious, anxiety-filled atmosphere.
We just didn't think we were going to pull it off. I mean, to make your point there, when we talk about leads, I think one of the moments that's starting to get more traction amongst Cavs fans and sports people who watch that finals is what J.R. Smith was able to do at that start of the third quarter, where Clay came down, hit a couple shots, they go up by 8, and then immediately J.R. hits back-to-back threes, and then Kyrie takes Festus Ezeli on the baseline and just right over top of him. Ties the ball game up at, I want to say 54 apiece. Wonderful, awesome moment because the game kind of felt like it was getting a little stretched out.
It's a 16
and then we
point
brought it right back in.
It's a 16-point swing right
It's
there.
huge. Yeah, it was huge. It was, and it was like, all right, JR, and then Kyrie was like, all right, I can do this again. And I put Festus Ezeli on a pick and switch, and then he went baseline and got the layup.
I think half the fun was just seeing all the names that you either forgot about or that you didn't know was on the team, either team or the championship-winning Cavs team. You had Mo Williams sticking there a little bit.
Mo Williams,
Timofey Mozgov. He has a hat. He's in the background of the championship picture. He's there. You remember RJ? Chain Fly. Remember brings back all the love for them. 2
things. RJ had 9 rebounds in Game 7. That's a lot of rebounds for Game 7. The Cavs out-rebounded the Warriors that game by, I want to say, 11 rebounds, 59-48. They got after the boards and in a big way. And it was like the hustle rebounds. It felt like when the boards were 50-50 balls, everyone was hitting the deck, everyone was after it. And the amount of grueling effort in that game is still impressive to me.
The blue collar came out of Cleveland, and I think that's what we saw that with the intensity, and you kind of saw that California kind of stuck up. I didn't really own this kind of feel to it in that game. It was more the rich kid with the rich snob versus the down and dirty, had to work for everything they got kind of team, kind of matchup.
That's what I think about the fans too. Those fans are entitled fans, and I really am so sick of it. And I felt this a lot in Game 5 when we were watching Game 5. Is every time they hit a 3, even if they put up 4 points, they were like, "Oh yeah, the game's over. We're gonna win this thing." Every time a 3 happened, everyone was like, "Oh my goodness!" And I'm like, "Stop it! You have no idea what's about to happen to you." 41 apiece for Bron and Kyrie. It's about to happen.
Well, it was that entire little dynasty that they had. Because it was all these casual fans, captivated by a championship caliber team. Oh, basketball, this is kind of cool. It's not the dirty fans that's been here and through it all the bad seasons, all the 11 and 71 seasons, all that stuff like that.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Miami Heat fans when LeBron was down there, because people gave them a really hard time because they just all of a sudden showed up when LeBron and Chris Bosh got there.
Well,
there were all these fans that weren't there before, and everyone was repping LeBron and Wade, and I just love those little little videos where everyone was like, like do a little interview asking people about certain players and like they're not even on the team. Like, yeah, I love when Dwayne the Rock Johnson scored last night. It was awesome.
Yeah, they did that in California. I think there was a segment with like Kobe and his championship team. It was like 09 or 08 or something like that. Mm-hmm. But those are always really funny to see this kind of expose those casual fans, and I think that's one reason that like. It was such a hated team, Miami and both Warriors, because you had those dedicated fans in Miami and Golden State. You can appreciate the fandom and the loyalty to the fans, but then the entire huge following that just came out of nowhere. You're like, oh, where have you been? You know, like you just been kind of hiding underneath lots, waiting for the team to get good. It just kind of exposes those mediocre fan base a little bit.
I have an interesting tidbit from that series. Steve Kerr recently said that it was the highest level of basketball he has ever been a part of over that span with the Cavs. And I think that's really rings true. Like when I was watching it, I just noticed how much attention to detail they put on matchups and on pick and switches. On every little possession was so important, and it was such a high level of detail. There's very few times where a matchup was switched or a rotation didn't happen
because they fought through it all.
Jeff Van Gundy pointed out in the broadcast, I paid attention to his broadcast, because in the first half, I don't think he was reading the Cavs game plan correctly, because he was like, oh, they're not communicating on the Draymond Green switches. Mm-hmm. That's why he's getting his open looks. I was like, no. It was the game plan to let Draymond shoot threes. Just no one expected him to go 5 for 5 in the first half.
Yeah, do you want Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry to shoot those threes, or do you want Draymond Green to?
Oh, Draymond Green.
Do you want Stephen Curry to a wide open layup, or do you want Draymond Green to a wide open three?
You just don't expect him to go 6 of 8 for the game. It's surprising. And I remember watching the game going, if we lose the freaking title over Draymond Green going nuts from 3, I'm going to be mad forever. I'll be mad forever. And luckily it didn't turn out that way. One of the other things I want to talk about in terms of this championship is Kevin Love. Okay, so Kevin Love, historically in Cleveland, gets a bad rap. He's never gotten the credit he deserves, and maybe some of it's warranted for his up and down offensive play. Maybe some of it's not warranted for how they worked him into game plans. But in Game 7 in particular, I want everyone to understand he was a plus 19 from the floor. He had the game's best plus minus. The plus minus is a stat that says how many points your team was up or down when you were on the floor, and he had the game best 19, which is impressive. He also pulled on 14 boards, which is also tied for a game high with Draymond, but it just felt like his level of detail and an effort out there was really like high level. He did go 0 for 3 from 3, but his ability to space the floor, his ability to hit the rebounds, and to be a menace on both sides of the glass, I think is very underappreciated. And if you go back and watch Game 7, or you watched it the other evening, you'll notice that Kevin Love is just a workhorse and is deserving of all the credit that he hasn't gotten.
I agree. I think he's gotten, as you said, a real bad rap just because everyone expecting that Minnesota Kevin Love to transfer point by point into the Cavs system. And you have to remember he took very unselfishly the third option in this team. He never really figured out. I think there was some bad strategy with involving Kevin Love with Ty Lue with the rest of the coaches and trying to get him involved. I think they should have definitely leaned on him. I think most of the seasons as the number 1 option, the number 2 option, and at least in the first half. And just let him dominate players and then open everyone up and kind of take that off that shoulder and load that LeBron had most of the time, either distributing or going back and forth with Kyrie. And I don't think they utilized him at all. Like either his passing, I mean, you saw it his full-court passing, but I think he underutilized his passing in the half-court game and his command of double teams that he draws, that his attention. And I think everyone doesn't. I think the more casual fans, maybe the average Cleveland fan, can't really appreciate or don't know basketball enough to appreciate all the little stuff. Kevin Love does. If rebounds in his area, he's always getting it. He always has great position. Those quick outlet passes make a huge difference when you're giving the ball to Kyrie or LeBron in open space. We know how deadly they are in open space. And to be that third option, that knockdown third option, is really important during that championship run.
I think the big thing that really Kevin did fit very well with the Cavs during that run is his floor spacing. I think, if you look at how the Cavs were able to eat up the East, they did that a lot with spacing, and because that's tailored to LeBron's play. And Kevin Love, to his credit, pulled a lot of big guys out of the paint and allowed them to run those sets where he could drift to the corner or pop to the wing and get an open three. And if you look at the series, throughout that playoff run, Kevin Love was pretty effective. And he was also very effective during that playoff run, especially against the Raptors, was Channing Frye, man. Channing Frye actually had a couple big-time games over the course of that run.
During the domination of
the
Raptors.
And it was partly because of his ability to space the floor. He was a real nightmare, and that's what you get with LeBron. And so maybe Kevin Love wasn't the star that everyone wanted him to be, because we think of stars in the NBA, we always think of these guys who are really smooth, who are athletic, who jump really high, who dunk really hard,
who can take over a game,
who can create their own shots off the dribble. But Kevin Love is just not that type of player, and so expectations are different versus what reality is with him. But I think if you appreciate what he is as a basketball player, if Kevin Love played in, I don't know, say like the early 2000s or like in the 90s, people would love Kevin Love because he'd be very much a different narrative for him. And I think we all need to just take a second to appreciate Kevin Love and what he was able to accomplish on the championship. And he stopped Curry from scoring on that big possession.
He'll always the stop. He'll always be remembered for that. And you have to think. We mentioned how he created all that space for Kyrie and LeBron. This the amount of tension that that teams had to account for him with. This is underrated. It's more valuable than people realize. That tension from that solid, like the lower, like that third option, that third star on your team. This made it all that easier for Kyrie and LeBron.
Yeah, I think you lived with J.R. Smith hitting those shots, or or Tristan Thompson having possessions, because if you think about trying to guard the Cavs, it's like, okay, gotta stop Kyrie, okay, gotta stop LeBron, okay, gotta stop Kevin Love. I'm like, okay, so if J.R. Smith's gonna take a contested shot, I'm gonna live with that.
Yeah, it's one of the best 3-point shooters ever, and he's your fourth option.
Yeah,
but you have three.
J.R. Smith would just hit silly stuff all the time, and it was like, okay, we played perfect defense until J.R. Smith hit a hand-in-the-face three fading away off of a turnaround and had almost no view of the basket.
Off of that possession.
Yeah, off of a bad possession, where nothing happened.
Right.
So
you have three number one options all playing either first, second, or third option, and then you have that fourth option as that spot-up shooter. Yeah,
I just think as a Cleveland fan, I don't know if I'm ever going to witness better basketball than that run, and it saddens me a little bit, but also makes me appreciate that time. And if I can think about the Cavs going forward, I just have tremendous high hopes for guys like Kevin Porter Jr. to see if he can raise into a star. I'd love for us to be sitting here a couple years from now talking about how Kevin Porter Jr. is very much like James Harden, or if he's always a guy that can just score off a dribble, at will. That'd be a great discussion to have. But for today, we're going to appreciate what we were able to witness, and that we have a championship.
And think about not only the players but the commentators during that stretch.
Yeah, give a little shout out here to Fred McLeod, man. I loved Fred McLeod as a commentator. I thought he brought so much to the game. From every account that people talked about, he was so wonderfully prepared. He had that awesome tie collection, and he gave us the greatest call in Cleveland sports history.
He was always aggressive. He always had aggressive calls, no matter if it was a preseason or regular season game, and then he was all in and all ready for it, prepared, like you said, during that championship stretch.
I gotta tell you, man, when I found out the news, I had an off day from work. I was just running some errands, and I found the news out, and I'm in my car. And I was legitimately crying, man. It tore me up because He meant so much to the city. He meant so much to Cavs fans. And then obviously he gave us so many memorable moments and so many memorable calls that it was just a really sad loss for Cleveland. But I can't wait for the day they get to retire. Retire his. They should give him a jersey. They got to give him a jersey or give him a plaque or something like cute. I know they're dedicating a media room to him,
like Joe Tate.
So that's So I think he deserves that. So I'd love to see him, retire a jersey or something up there for him. I think that'd be a great tribute.
Yeah, that'd be a great little. That would be a great little gesture by Cleveland and the rest of the Cavs organization.
Yeah, I love that. I think it was great. So it'll be a great call there, Tim, on remembering McLeod.
He just benefited. He just worked off Austin Carr so well, and all his goofiness that Austin Carr brought. He just kind of settled that down in more of that professional, like kind of, but still lively, uppy atmosphere. Because we know how kind of wild Austin Carr can be sometimes.
Yeah, Austin Carr could be a little bit out there sometimes. So I can agree with you on that one.
Yeah, but moving on a little bit to football. There's not much going on in basketball right now. If you didn't notice. Yeah,
we're not playing any games, but Stefanski did have a little conference call today, and he did mention Baker, and it's a really great quote by Stefanski. A great show of support for him. Stefanski goes on to say that I believe in Baker Mayfield. He's our starting quarterback, and we believe in him as an organization to help make him the best version of Baker Mayfield. I think that's great because I think he's not trying to make any comparisons. He's not trying to have him fill someone else's shoes or put him in a box. He's saying, I want to make him the best version of him. I think that's what you want in a leader. And I would love it. I would love if my leader said that to me. My boss at work says, hey, Mike, I want to make you the best version of Mike that you could possibly be, and I'm here to support you and here to help you do that. I'd be like, all right, dude, sign me up.
He's all in on Baker.
Yeah, I'm running through a wall for him. So I think that's a great line from Stefanski. I think that speaks volumes about his belief in Baker and how there's not going to be any quarterback controversy.
Yeah. So 2 days after you brought up some kind of wild claims about Case Keenum, I think Kevin Stefanski listened to our episode the other day.
Yeah, I think
had to immediately comment about it.
Yeah, he had to immediately address it because I think we put a lot of pressure on him, and then at the end of the day, he had to answer for those questions. And kudos to us for putting those questions out there. And
well done.
And it's high quality journalism, I think, honestly.
That's the questions you want to answer.
We asked the hard-hitting questions that are getting answers here in Cleveland, and I really want to credit you and me for just a great job. We just did an excellent job. So thanks, Stefanski, for answering our hard-hitting question and listening to the podcast. Really appreciate you jumping on and going out and downloading and liking and subscribing.
And being a valued subscriber.
Yeah, we are happy to have these discussions.
And if you want to come on sometime, we'll be glad to have you.
Always welcome on the podcast. Kevin, always welcome. So we call him Kevin. We're on a first name basis. All right. So so speaking of the Browns, got a couple questions here for you. The first thing I want to get into is it's way too early. But after all these moves that we made so far, I said the other day I'm very all in on the Browns, but I want to put that into a gauge. So how confident are you in the Browns on a scale of like 1 to 100? 100 being highest.
Hold on. Like a scale of 1 to 10.
Percentage-wise.
1 being Freddie Kitchens and 10 being like...
Not 10. I'm talking about 100. I want 100. Give me the...
100. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna make it a little bit longer there for you, so you can say some crazy.
100. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say that I believe I was that confident last year. With the little contingent that it's all coaching based. If Kevin Stefanski and his coaching staff is competent, then we'll be in the playoffs 100%. But if we see some of that dysfunction like we did last year, or a lot of the dysfunction like we did last year, then it's going to be the same old Browns like we had last year with all these built up expectations, all the talent's there. If we combine talent and coaching and discipline, we'll be in the playoffs.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said the other
day. So I have two different answers for you. So 100% if we have a competent coaching staff. the draft's not even here yet, or we haven't even drafted yet. I'd say it's more of a 60-70% chance, just based on what all the needs we filled so far. We already are going to have a better offensive line than we did last year, and a better personnel that fits, or a better scheme that fits our personnel, and an entire draft to fill more needs. I'd say probably 67%. If we don't,
60 to 70%.
If we don't have a competent staff.
I like your train of thought there because Andrew Berry is driving the adult bus to work every day.
I think that's going to be a slogan.
Andrew Berry is driving the adult bus. Yeah, he's driving the adult bus to work, and he's pulled up his big boy pants, and
is that called a limo?
No, it's he's taking public transportation,
a work bus?
Doing what he has to do to provide for his family, aka the Browns.
Taking the RTA.
He's taking the RTA, and he's getting to work every day, and he's doing the grind, and he's doing the work, and he's showing up, and he's just making it happen. At this point, I like what Andrew Berry's doing. This is the adult Browns 2020. Get on board for it. My confidence is at a 70%. I'm 70% confident in the Browns right now. I'll be a little bit higher once they have an awesome draft, and we'll turn that up to 100 real quickly. Just like the Drake lyric, we go 0 to 100 very quickly.
That's not it. 0 to 100 real quick. Real quickly, please. We say please. We're nice.
Sir, can we go 0 to 100 really quickly, please?
Can you kindly go 0 to 100 immediately? Thank you very much. I apologize for asking this question. Thank you very much.
Okay, once the draft happens in April, I'll be at 100. Moving forward, why haven't the Browns signed Clay Mathews III yet?
I'm not sure. I think the same goes with. There was someone else.
Clowney?
Yeah, the same with Clowney.
No, it's not the same with Clowney.
No. There was.
I'll fight you right now. I'll argue with you.
No, we mentioned it 2 days ago. That why we didn't. It was Clay Mathews that we didn't sign. Nope, there's a different player that we're talking about. We haven't picked up yet.
No, it's not. It's not Clay Mathews. You're talking about Trent Williams. Trent Williams isn't available yet. That's why, buddy.
Nope, I don't know.
It's okay. Well, Clay Mathews.
I don't know why.
We haven't signed him yet, and I think it's ludicrous because you add a veteran player, you add a guy
Super Bowl winner
who is a Super Bowl winner. You add a guy who's trying to get his dad into the Hall of Fame. Great for putting more pressure on the Hall of Fame committee. He had 37 tackles last year and 8 sacks. Nice year, right?
8 sacks from a linebacker position.
Couple fumbles for us too.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Why not get a rotational linebacker in here that's going to provide leadership and guidance and is going to be a fan favorite off the get-go?
And you bring that better leadership and kind of put Matt Wilson and Sione Tati under the wing and teach him how to play in professional football.
Yeah, I'm down with that. Yeah, I think it's
definitely an option that Andrew Berry needs to explore and see if it's a viable, good option for the Browns. Definitely.
Yeah, I think we should absolutely. I think it's a great move. We should definitely go after it. I think Clowney's also an interesting move too because Clowney's asking for $17 million a year, right? So you have Vernon on the books, right? He's $15 million for this last year here. If you drop him, there's no dead money, so it's a clean wash 15. But here's the kicker. Clowney's not going to want just a 1-year contract. And you have big contracts coming up like Myles Garrett. Mm-hmm. You can't compromise Garrett's contract for Clowney's contract.
Even though we have the third highest cap space currently right now with over $43 million.
It's just tough right now because they're looking at the salary and going, okay, who's going to pay for Clowney right now? Like, he's still out there. It's kind of wild. I think everyone's kind of waiting to see what the draft's going to shape up to be, which is kind of interesting.
And who's going to fill the needs
through
the draft.
But I don't think Clowney's going to end up at 17. I think he'll end up going down to like 13 to 15. And I think if you could convince him to jump on for a 2-year with a player option in a third or a team option in a third.
And move on money
and shift some money, or you could front load the deal and give him a lot more money this year.
While we still have it.
Absolutely. I think that would be the move if you're going to get Clowney. But I like the idea of getting Clowney, beef up the line a little bit more, add some more star pedigree to the team.
Right. And he really came out last year. You almost have 2 number 1 pass rushers on your team when you add him.
I think it's a great idea. I think the defense would be elevated if you brought him in. I think you just have to do it with a contract that works and is Cleveland favorable. So we'll see if that's a possibility or not. But I think it's an interesting idea if you could bring him to Cleveland.
If the situations work and the stars align, then with everything, all the contract and everything for both sides, then it would be a great option here. And we have fan questions, but I think we only have one today. It is AJK12 on Instagram. He's asking, will the Browns re-sign Tremont?
We put the tender out there.
Is that the player? That was the player I think I was mentioning that we were talking about the other day.
We put the tender out there. So the tender is out there. So the tender, if you don't know how it works, basically second round tender. If some team wants to pay him money, we can match it. If we
decide a little more,
then we get a second round pick from them. So it's not going to happen. No one's going to give us a second round pick for running back. So we have him under contract for another year, more than likely when that's all said and done. So yeah, we'll have Hunt. We'll have a 2-man backfield that can do some real damage
under a competent line. Plus the new personnel, the 12 personnel that Kevin Stefanski's offense will bring.
Plus, why wouldn't you want to have insurance in case? For God forbid Chubb goes down, like you have a secondary running back. I mean, injuries happen in the NFL. Let's not pretend like injuries don't happen. Right. I mean, especially you guys who get heavy contact, on a game-to-game basis. Like, you get running backs get hurt. Like, it's just the nature of the business.
And then it goes on to mention, will we bring Rashard Higgins back?
Oh yeah, we don't think so. I think it's going to be a wait and see type of deal, but I don't think they're going to. So
if he can slide underneath some of these teams' radars and not draw attention to a bigger contract, then I think we really should pursue it, despite how loaded this year's draft should be.
We're gonna put a poll out.
Projected to be.
Put a poll out tomorrow. I'm gonna put a poll out and see what you guys think about this, because I think
Rashard Higgins is a fan favorite.
I think he's a fan favorite. Yeah. I just don't know if it's gonna be possible.
But you mentioned how fan favorites sometimes get cut off. And
sometimes, man, you got to make sacrifices in terms of the bigger picture, especially if you can replace Rashard Higgins with a better talent. So you got to always look at that piece. There's always another player coming in that could take your spot.
I think he's an incredibly good third option at receiver. And I think he's a solid second option, which many people don't agree with me. But they looked at last year when he only played a handful of snaps, and then looked at how quality was and how much chemistry he had the year prior with Baker Mayfield. I
am just always in favor if you can make your team better, do so. So if it's a better prospect in the wide receiver,
but I like the continuity and the chemistry between Baker and Mayfield already with him.
We'll see. We'll see what.
And I think he would have a bounce back considering the lack of chances he got in 2019.
I just keep looking at receiving cores across the league, and I go 1 through 3 across the board, and I just don't. I see that the wide receiver groups among the league are more stacked than ever. Like, you think about 5-6 years ago, you don't have great third receivers. Now, because it's a passing league, there's a lot of good third receivers out there, and I just think it's hard for you to say, like, is Rashard Higgins worth it?
He's a great slot
on the third receiver.
He's a great slot receiver. I love that.
A great slot receiver. Andrew Hawkins was a great slot receiver.
I love that. Okay, don't discredit Rashard Higgins, my boy Hollywood over here. When he's producing and when he's given the opportunity on the field, he's very efficient. How many balls do you remember when he played? Did Rashard Higgins drop?
I don't recall when he dropped.
And do you recall? Ever since he got the opportunity, and the more he played, it was like after he got his initial injury, that he improved every year until 2019. He just got better and more comfortable and better and more comfortable and better.
Did we cut Antonio Callaway last year, or did we trade him?
We cut him.
He had that horrific interception on the slant route where he dropped it and then basically volleyball set it up.
No.
To the defender for an interception.
If he dropped it, that would have been honorable at that point. What he did was he fell down like an old lady in slow motion in the red zone on the goal line, and proceeded to chuck up his arms like he just blinked when like your brother tossed you a frisbee when you weren't looking, and he went and like tossed up his arms and somehow got part of the ball, and then this shovel passed it to the defender. That's what happened.
It wasn't good. It was bad news Bears, and
that was like a week after Todd Monken was like, "Yeah, we're going with him. He's more talented. He has more potential, big playability. That's why we're not playing." Oh, I was like Freddie Kitchens maybe. And he was like, "That's why we're not playing, or we're not even have Rashard Higgins even active."
That's probably one of the plays that the Browns didn't practice too. So I'm sure that played a factor, because the Browns were doing that all last year, just making a game plan on Monday, and then whoop, something's different on Sunday.
And you can just if you listen to any interview with Antonio Callaway, you can probably picture that he wasn't really big into studying.
But that's the Dorsey way, though. To take the guys with the high potential but with a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Might pay off, might not pay off. And so far, there were some guys that definitely didn't pay off. But so far, there's guys who definitely have paid off and will pay off.
Live with that.
You remember, GMs aren't perfect, and Andrew Berry is going to make mistakes here as well.
You have to live with that balance.
We're just very much on the drive the grown-up bus. Here at this particular point.
And the approach that he's taking.
I like the way he's doing. Plus, he worked with Dorsey before, so he's got tinges of Dorsey with his own flavor of Andrew Berry.
And if you recall, he was with the Browns too during that whole debacle with Hugh Jackson, so he knows what extreme failure and collapse looks like.
Or extreme analytics look like.
Yes. But I mean, a combination of both, I think.
Can we make a cereal called Andrew Crunchberries? or like Andrew. What would be a cereal name for Andrew Berry if you can?
I don't think it's a bit of a name. Maybe if his moves,
Andrew's Berries.
Andrew's Berries. Maybe if like his moves help, like his chess moves help guide us into like a Super Bowl win. That's when you have shredded wheat and stuff. Start reaching out to you and whatnot. But. Until then,
I'm going to work on it. We'll get a meme here at some point. If the Browns do very well this season, I'm going to make Andrew's Berries a meme, and it'll happen.
Hey, remember how fast John Dorsey exploded in Cleveland? It was quick.
Yeah, the Dorsey sweatshirts were a thing, man.
Yeah, they were.
People got their Air Dorseys out.
Those old school sweatshirts.
I liked it. I was here for it.
Yeah. That would be great.
Just remember, all you Browns fans that swore off the Browns for all of a month and a half because they got rid of Dorsey. If you look at the board right now, looks like Andrew Berry is doing pretty well. So we're gonna cross our fingers, hope for the best, and see what happens at draft time, because that draft time is really the make or break time when it comes to a GM and what they're worth.
Yeah, and see who he follows, if he listens to the scouts, if he goes with the gut, and if we see the same approach and kind of draft style that we saw during Andrew Berry's first time in Cleveland. Is it more the same with the analytics, or has he learned from that and grown?
Perfect. I'm with you there. I think it's gonna be interesting to see how it pans out. We got the 10th pick. Very interested to see if he's gonna trade down or if he'll stay there. But we'll dive into that a little bit down the road here. But really appreciate everyone who's jumping here and listening to the podcast. We do have a really fun time doing it, and we really love having these sports discussions. Talking about the Cavs championship, their run, talking about what the Browns are going to do upcoming here, getting mad at Paul Dolan for being a terrible owner. It's just the stuff we enjoy doing, on a weekly basis. So hope you guys can continue to join us for the podcast.
And continue asking questions.
Yeah, continue asking questions. We love to have them. We appreciate Kevin Stefanski asking our questions and listening to the podcast. Really, really dig that support. Really feel that that's a big part of the culture where he's building here in Cleveland.
Continuity.
Yeah.
It reaches out to the podcast too.
That's great. I mean, when you're able to do that and really make a podcast part of your community, that's when you have a legitimately good coach, in place. So really, we're full supporters of the Stefanski train.
And we're just ready for the Cleveland Browns to become go back to being an NFL football team.
I'm excited for it, honestly, and we talked about it the other day with the years to justify Brown season tickets. We're coming up on that point where it's going to be justifiable. So let's just cross our fingers. We'll see what happens there draft. But want to let you guys know we really appreciate all the support so far. So my name is Mike.
I'm Tim.
And just remember, in Cleveland, everything is earned.
Dun, 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 dun.
Cut the mic.